Hi, everybody.
Hey.
Hello.
Here we are. I'm excited about it. It's early in the morning, so I've got my early morning face on. You know, it's like slap a little bit, get going a little bit. So this week, and I'm going to share my screen. Today we're doing our March 22 haikus. That will be our 23rd recording. Can you believe that?
No.
23. Almost 2 years worth of recordings every month on a monthly basis. And so I've got our haikus here. Anybody have anything you want to say before we get going?
This means we're coming up on 3 years of having done these together, which is pretty wonderful.
That's crazy, isn't it? I love it.
And a book and a presentation. And I say this publicly for anybody who's watching. I'd like to do more presentations. I just thought that was so much fun. It's only an hour, and so if you want to invite us, invite us.
And it was global. It was truly global. I mean, folks from Australia, New Zealand, and all over the United States. That was amazing.
And what I love, maybe as much as any of that, is that we did it for a public library, a local public library, and supporting our libraries. This is, by the way, this is being recorded in Library Week. This is Library Week.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yep. Library Week. Okay, so who wants to go first? I've got Amy up first. We also have.
You can do that, whatever.
Let's do Amy.
All right, so my haiku this month was hope. Virtue, a gift, clues of hope found in small things. Hope looks small and wide.
And look at those flowers. And then a nice little quote from the Center for Action and Contemplation.
Yeah, I can read that. It's even a smaller indicator of God. Even a small indicator of God is still an indicator of God, and therefore an indicator of final reason, meaning, and joy. A little bit of God goes a long way.
Nice. Okay. Davin, you want to go first? You want me to?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, maybe a small indicator of God is the best indicator of God, or maybe the only indicator of God. All right. I've always been an advocate of Aristotle's golden middle way. It's a lot easier, by the way, to advocate than it is to actually follow. Actually following it is much more demanding. The idea is to always find the desirable middle between two extremes, arguing that anything good taken to excess becomes bad, and anything good left deficient is equally problematic. Aristotle doesn't provide any rules for finding the golden mean, though. In fact, part of the trick to living well is actually living. You can't figure it out ahead of time. You've got to experience the middle way if you're going to know the middle way. It is only actualized in concrete reality, not abstract ideas. So where does hope fit here? Is there a golden mean for hope? I've certainly seen days with too little hope, and I know that's not so great. But can I really have too much hope? I won't know unless I live it, unless I experience it. Maybe the golden middle is actually living with a lot of hope. Amy provides a perfect starting place for the exploration, for the living. Start small. I admire and advocate for those who plant trees, for example. It is truly an act of hope. Investing in an uncertain future of this small, fragile creature. And the arborist most likely won't see or benefit from the fruits of his or her labors. It's pure hope. It's the mustard seed. And it's a good way to live, hopefully.
Very nice.
Very nice. Very nice. I think the middle way is also, I think the Buddha also has a middle way too, doesn't the Buddha? It's like,
Sounds like, yeah.
And it presents an important convergence of great minds over the millennia, I think.
It's interesting, and of course we don't talk about politics here, but in a world of extremism, it's pretty interesting to talk about the golden mean.
Mhm.
So not to geek out too much on Aristotle here, but a lot of folks hear the golden mean and they think that leads to like it's milk toast, right? It's the sort of liberal incrementalist who never really does much of anything. But Aristotle puts as much emphasis on emotions and the importance of emotions. So it's nice, it's a great picture of living, I think.
That's super. I've been reading about Ignatius, and he advocates for something very similar about in discerning, like not the extreme, not the other extreme, but finding the middle.
Yeah.
I love it. So interesting.
Are you graduated yet? Are you?
In September.
Oh, wow.
I was gonna say, should I just start asking for advice now?
Well,
Not now.
Come October, you'll have to pay her or something, right?
Yeah, I want it now.
That's funny.
Spiritual direction is an important, what do they call it in the Catholic Church? Charism is what they call it in the Catholic Church.
Probably, yeah.
Spiritual gift is what we might call it in Methodism and other places. So, Amy's haiku. It is spring. Green is starting to spring up all around. We're just starting to see the colors of spring. These signs fill my heart every year because I know we have made it through the winter. These always start very small, like a baby is small. Hope rarely comes at us big. Sometimes it does and is welcome and obvious, like a search party descending upon the lost camper. But often it is small, like the lone smile in a group of strangers. And sometimes that, excuse me. Goodness. This is live videotaping.
It's
everyone.
good. It's all good.
Let's see here. But often it's small, like a lone smile in a group of strangers. And sometimes that bit of hope occurs in the dead of winter and is a harbinger of a flourishing spring. Then hope looks small indeed and is a clue that leads to something far more widespread. I'd never seen the word hope virtue as one word before, so I wondered what that particular word meant. Hope with the added value of virtue suggests that hope can be developed as a virtue, nurtured like the lone smile in a sea of frowns blossoming into a cheery group, into something we carry with us all the time. Not just in a sea of flowers and smiles, not just when we come upon a lone sunflower or grin in the desert, but always inside. Then the hope virtue gift has become enmeshed in who we are, hopeful people. Nice job.
Thank you. So good. So
Fully
good.
hopeful people.
All right, here is mine. A little bit of God goes a long way. That phrase caught my attention. It sparkled and glimmered with an invitation to pause. Smaller and deeper was an invitation that sparkled and glistened and felt pressed into my soul in the years when my children were babies and toddlers, when all my energy, focus, and emotions went into mothering. I can't get over the concept of small. Small feels overlooked, discounted, and underappreciated in the cacophony of the culture in which we live. Small is where life happens. Small is really all we have. So little starts with big. Babies are small. Ideas are small before they burst into light and life. We are small in the scale of the universe. In the delightful book of essays, Eating the Sun, Small Musings on a Vast Universe by Ella Francis Sanders, she relates the Milky Way, the galaxy in which we live and move and have our being, as stated in Acts 17:28, as 110,000 light years across. I don't have any idea about how to even consider that space. I just know it's big. She says that our sun, which gives us light, that we never look at entirely is just one of 100 to 400 billion stars in this galaxy. And most of those have planets within their orbit. We are small. Earth, our island home, as stated in the Anglican liturgy, is just a speck of dust in the space of all that is. And yet we are here. We live our complex, extraordinary, messy, delightful lives here. It doesn't feel small to me. It feels vast. And yet, I think, like the haiku I offered this month states, hope is found in small things. And small is dependent on the scale, but no small thing is nothing. Hope waits like a clue, a gift for us in the small moments and movements of our lives.
Ooh.
Hope waits. That's a great line. And this is not at all to call to mind Sandra Bullock and Hope Floats at all.
I hadn't even thought of that.
Hope waits,
Hope
which is
waits.
much more profound.
Hope is buoyant. Amy,
yeah.
someday, of all the admirable things about you, I want to know how you read so many books. How do you do that? I don't know. I can't, for one, I'm a slow reader, but I have an infinite amount of interests in books, but I don't know how you crank them out. I really don't. And
I am a fast reader, so that does help.
Oh my goodness. Jeez. Okay, nice. I'm hopeful. Maybe
Nice.
I'll learn how to do that at a later age.
All the books sitting unread on the corner of your desk or nightstand. Each one represents hope.
That's right.
That's right. It represents intention, maybe lost. I don't know. Do you want to go next, Davin? You want me to?
Sure, I'm happy to go.
I love this picture, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
The aesthetics of watchmaking are just tremendous. I love it. A life of time. Gears move time forward. Oil, brass, steel, tools, and patience. The watchmaker's work.
Anything to say about this particular picture?
I wish I could say that is my father. My father and grandfather are watchmakers. My grandfather recently deceased, and my father still practicing the craft, but that is not him, but that's the posture. That's what it is. And it's beautiful, I think.
I think so too.
That's amazing.
Did you ever do any watchmaking yourself? Or I know that it's part of the family business.
A lot of clocks, and most watches ended up working less well when I was finished. Clocks I was pretty good with clocks, and I did a lot of it to help get through college. But
yeah, I think if I were working on clocks, they'd be works of art, very iconic, never doing exactly creative versus precision. Amy, first or me?
Doesn't matter.
I'll do it.
Okay, you go.
I always go second because I always want to hear what everybody else has to say, but this time I'll do it.
All right.
Do gears move time forward, or does time move gears forward? The title of Davin's haiku, A Life of Time, was especially touching, knowing that he comes from a family of watchmakers. The image of the watchmaking process that comes to my mind is so similar to the photos Davin shared, along with his haiku, showing the tools of the trade, including, as his haiku notes, patience. One of my favorite books of all time is Daniel Boorstin's The Discoverers, A History of Man's Search to Know His World and Himself. And here's the book. The entire first section of the book is about time and how our perception and use of time changed over the centuries. The way we define weeks, months, years, seconds, hours, and minutes are all human inventions. The Gregorian calendar replaced the Julian calendar in 1582, and sometime between 1771 BC and 876 BC, the traditional Chinese calendar was developed. How we measure time has evolved as well. Boorstin says that For most of history, water provided the measure of time when the sun was not shining. That was so fascinating to me when I read that. How do you tell time when it's dark outside and you don't have electricity? How do you do that? As I read Davin's haiku, as I read Davin's haiku, I feel a sense of poignance. Like all crafts that can be subverted and mass produced as new technology is introduced, one wonders if we will see the great gears and levers of commercialization tick off the last era of watchmaking. Time is infinite, after all, or will the fine craft of watchmaking always be with us, carrying over a depth of skill and knowledge and love of making something special that no electronic device could ever replace?
Nice, nice. Interestingly enough, it could be characterized as a dying craft. There are fewer folks doing it, but the need is greater than ever. There are more and more mechanical watches. They're more popular than ever.
Oh,
Isn't that
so
interesting?
I'll just throw this out, what I just said.
Nice try.
Nice. Amy.
All right. A few weeks ago, we moved our clocks forward. This was followed closely by the twice yearly editorials and news stories on the dangers of moving time, calls for the ending the time change, and bleary-eyed people trying to figure out what time it actually is. Do gears move time forward? And what gears are we talking about? Do you mean the intricate, delicate, finely tuned gears of a clock with the steady tick, tick, tick? Or do we mean the gears of the universe, the elliptical orbit by which we spin around with more and less time in the sun, the lengthening of days, the shortening of days, the abundance of summer and fall, the bareness of winter, the hope of spring? These are also gears, finely tuned, intricate and delicate, with a steady tick, tick. Time enfolds us, steadies us, and orients us in the contour of our days. Time is the great equalizer. We are often reminded that we all have the same number of hours for our use. And it's just a matter of being more organized, strategic, and multitasking so we can use up those hours. What if, instead of being consumers of time, we were savorers of time? What if we ordered our days every day to catch the first lights of dawn and gathered to watch the sunset? What if we knew the sky with enough intimacy we could tell when the sun was at the highest point in the sky? Our ancestors knew, watchmakers of a different sort.
I love the big picture.
I do too.
And I'm not even going to tell you what I had in mind by gears moving time forward. I think that both of your images of it are probably better than anything I had been thinking. All right. I am the son and grandson of watchmakers, and I was raised in a watchmaker's domain. It's a very controlled environment, much like a laboratory. Each move for a watchmaker is an experiment, testing the effects of every change on the timepiece. Can you pause it for a second, Michael? I am the son and grandson of watchmakers. I'm starting over. Sorry for the pause there.
All right.
And I was raised in a watchmaker's domain. It's a very controlled environment, much like a laboratory. Each move for a watchmaker is an experiment, testing the effects of every change on the timepiece. Even humidity levels and floor vibrations can make a difference. On the face of it, oil and water might mix better than children in a watchmaker's shop.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not my recollection at all. I loved everything about it and still do. The shop still exists. It's a testament to my parents' patience and love for sure. I bet I'm wrong or misremembering, but I don't remember ever being scolded in the watch shop. Instead, I remember the sweet smell of the magical homemade oil to lubricate the mechanisms. The ingredients remain a secret to this day. I remember the beautiful tools that made everything work again. I remember the watchmaker's posture shown so well in the remarkable photo that I did not take on the my haiku this month. And I remember the victorious ticking sounds of renewed watches and clocks, saved from relegation by the master watchmaker's hand. Most of all, I remember the quiet patience. A craftsman is defined by what he or she does, but the watchmaker so often waits and observes, studies, and calculates. Time is outside our control. It's relentless and cruel. The watchmaker's craft seems impossible, even Sisyphusian. Constrain and measure for human purposes that which is so completely beyond our control. My father's indefatigable optimism makes sense from this perspective. Anyone called to accomplish impossible things every day must be an optimist. I am deeply grateful for watching the impossible happen every day in the watch shop. The end.
Wow.
So good.
Yeah, no kidding.
What was that line? To do the impossible, anyone who does the impossible must be an optimist. Or
Yeah,
so
anyone called to accomplish impossible things every day must be an optimist.
Oh, that's so good. I love that.
They must have hope virtue, is what I think.
Hope virtue. They have hope virtue.
That's what I think they must have.
That's good.
This whole thing,
I was gonna say, make sure we get yours all done before you have to jump off.
we will. We'll get it done. We'll go right to it, but I would love to talk more about this, Davin, and that experience. I had no idea there was a special sauce of oil, a special oil ingredient.
That's right. Secret ingredients.
It's like the Coca-Cola, formula or something.
It is. I could tell you, but I'd have to kill you.
Okay, here we go. This is
So
my
funny.
haiku. Breathe in and deeply. Breathe out completely. Flourish, wither, suffer, love.
Mm.
And then, sunflowers is a theme these days because of Ukraine, but I didn't have any current pictures of sunflowers.
Mm.
And this photo was taken a whole year ago, and I thought it kind of represented at least the spirit of what's going on.
Yeah.
So who wants to go first?
I can go first.
Okay.
Apparently, we don't know how to breathe, or we've forgotten. I followed the teachings of several breathing gurus over the years, admonishing the shallow and weak, even pusillanimous, poor excuses for breathing we often exercise. Don't be so chesty. Engage your diaphragm. I can hear my high school choir teacher now. Like so much else in life, singing is the most expedient antidote for what ails us. Not breathing completely or fully, start singing, but not the withering, timid singing that's too concerned about neighborhood associations and noise ordinances. Instead, sing like you're in the shower, where you know no one can hear you. Make it loud and beautiful, engaging every ounce of your being. You will breathe deeply, diaphragmatically. Breathing is also emblematic and causal of consistent, reliable presence. Your breath is always there, always available, always ready to make things better. Feeling anxious and out of control, slow down your breath. Breath is like a loving parent, partner, or child. It marks the passing of time as each in and out measures a segment of our days. It's also a constant reminder of our fragility. Breath can so easily be taken away.
Mm.
Our breathing captures the full spectrum of humanity, as Michael has so beautifully expressed as flourish, wither, suffer, love, the yin and yang of a life well lived.
Mm. So good.
Pusillanimous, Sisyphean,
So I almost
indefatigable.
I was gonna, with Amy's hope, I was gonna talk about, I was gonna give it a dendrological theme, the study of trees, but I thought enough 50-cent words for 1 month.
Yeah, I was going to comment. There are so many words I'm going to have to get my dictionary.
It's your rhizome. It's the rhizome of tendrils of experience. Anyway, Amy.
All right. I've been doing a guided meditation recently where the guides suggest noticing where the breath starts and where it ends. The phrasing is so helpful for my active brain. Instead of a somewhat nebulous, watch your breath, I strain to notice the exact nanosecond that my breathing engages. It feels like it happens at the bottom of my lungs, or even deeper still. I focus on the rising of the breath and then focus on noticing the moment it lets go, or the moment it switches from in to out or out to in. This is probably why all great spiritual traditions point us back to the breath to experience the present moment. Our breath happens with or without our attention. But when we pause, when we strain to notice, feel our breath, trace the path of oxygen, feel the air, the rise, the expansions and contractions, we are comforted, we are paused, we are reoriented. Conspire in Latin means to breathe together. May we conspire. And as we conspire, we will flourish, wither, suffer, and love.
Love it. Conspire. I did not know that etymology of conspire. That's
Is that the study of insects?
only with the N.
Okay. This haiku is all about cycles and processes. The cycle of breathing in and out, the cycle of nature, the cycle of relationship, not just with another person, but with anything or any being. As I think about the nature of things, I got to wondering about Elizabeth Kubler-Ross's famous grieving curve, with time on one axis and morale and competence on the other. Over time, she said, we go through stages of grief after the loss of a loved one: denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and finally acceptance. As we do it, our morale and competence rises briefly, falls, and recovers. This basic process has been adapted over the years to different situations, but it got me to wondering if there is a similar flourishing stages. I don't know what they would be offhand, but if we put these two together, flourishing and withering, suffering and loving, would that describe the human condition at all? Of course, I immediately realized it's not that simple. Many times we deeply love and suffer at exactly the same time. Are love and suffering different, but the same? Or maybe there is a correlation. The more we love, the more we suffer. Or maybe, well, now we are over my ability to conceptualize, which is for the best, right? The most important piece of all this is just to breathe deeply and completely, and to live deeply and completely. And that's all we really have to know.
Perfect way to end.
Yeah,
perfect way to end.
Yeah, the breathing is such a great metaphor. It captures so much.
What's the word for, I think, ruach? Isn't that the word for the Holy Spirit? Breathing God in, breathing God out, those kinds of things. It's pretty amazing. Well, any other thing for the good of the cause?
Just thank you.
Okay, thank you, everyone. I'll get this up for the rest of the world to see very soon.